So, we are in Ephesus, the most important city you're visiting, probably. We can talk about this city for 2 days, but I'm gonna do some explanations about the most important parts because I want to put things into context. I want you to understand how was the city more or less when Paul was here. Okay, so we're trying to comprehend Paul's Ephesus, not just any Ephesus. The city has two parts. We call it the private and the public part. Okay, the public part used to have residential buildings, shops, just a few temples, and the private part has the most visually appealing part. There you would find the libraries, the decorative fountains, temples dedicated to many different emperors, the famous theater. Okay, they are all located in the private part of the city. This is the public one. Okay, so as we continue, you will see that the reconstructions of these historical buildings will get better and better. Okay, we will spend here approximately 1.5 hours, and we will go out together. Once I finish my explanations in the theater, I'm gonna give you some free time. You can just stroll around if you want to give a look and take some pictures. Ephesus will be open until 7 o'clock. Okay, so right now you can consider that we're gonna meet in the bus at 7 o'clock. One thing important about Ephesus is the cult of Artemis. Of course, you're seeing her statue here. Okay, so we know that the Artemis cult is actually more ancient than the city itself. First, it was the temple, which was built up by the Hittite people. We talked about the Hittites, if you remember, in the first day. Hittite people used to have a fertility goddess named Cybele, okay, or Kybele in their own language, which has quite similar characteristic to Artemis. When the Greek people came here, the local Kybele cult sort of was mixed with the Artemis cult, and they started to practice here a particular worship type that is called the Artemisian or Ephesus Artemis. Okay, they use this word because this is different than the other Artemis cults that we have all around the world. Okay, the Roman people, they used to call the same goddess as Diana. So if you go to a museum in Rome, in Italy, you will see that Diana looks a little different. She's not like this. She usually has a skirt up until her knees. She's usually fighting someone. She has a lot of weapons. Sometimes she's hunting animals. You can see that she has an arrow on her hands. So you would see a more masculine figure that looks like a warrior woman. This is quite the contrary. Okay, that's why we call her the Artemis from Ephesus, because she's very different than other Artemises that you would see in the world. What we have here is quite a maternal figure. Okay, she is still a symbol of fertility. You can see that she has a lot of eggs here in the chest area, which is a symbol of fertility. On her head, sometimes you can see a crown like this, sometimes a larger crown that has a lot of fruits, because her cult is related to fertility, not just the fertility of the soil, also the fertility of the women. So if you would visit the city during the Roman times, you would go to the temple of her in order to ask for fertility for your crops. But if you didn't have sons, if you didn't have children, you would also ask for children. Okay, that was the function of Artemis. So you can see the same goddess, only with different names. Okay, Cybele for Hittite people, Artemis for Greek people, Diana for Roman people. You would find lots of theologians saying that the Virgin Mary cult in Orthodox Greek Orthodoxy also has some similar parts to Artemis. Okay, so in this part, she usually has two big lions. I'm going to show you another images. This statue itself is very important for us because this is the most famous export of the city. So they would sell this statue in various different places. And they found these statues in Egypt. They found them in Ireland, actually, a few years ago. That means that all the pilgrimages, they used to pass from here and buy some souvenir before going home. So this temple was something quite central and important. Very few things are surviving from the original Artemision. Okay, this was burned to the ground in the 5th century before Christ. According to the legend, when Alexander the Great passed from Ephesus, he knew the fame of the temple and he wanted to reconstruct the temple. He offered some money to the Ephesus public. But the people living in Ephesus, the Greeks of the city, are quite famous for being cunning, actually. And they told him that you are a god too, Alexander the Great. a god constructing a temple for another goddess sounds a little weird. Why would you do that? Well, he loved this commentary and he left a lot of money in the city, but at the end they never reconstructed this Artemision on the same scale. You would find other tiny Artemis temples scattered all around the city. Okay, there you will find a map. So you can see that Ephesus, anciently, when it was founded for the first time by the Greek people, was located on a gulf, right? Very well protected area. What happened was one of the rivers that we have in the region, the name of the river is Meandros, carried away a lot of mud to this natural port during 2000 years, so the city stayed far away from the sea. Okay, today between us and the Aegean Sea we have this distance, but anciently if you would stay here in the 2nd century you would be able to see the port and the sea from this point. Okay, so the city was a lot more closer. So this simple chronology that you're supposed to keep in mind when we're visiting Ephesus was founded for the first time by the Greek people in the 8th century. Okay? During the Hellenistic period, one of the commanders of Alexander the Great, his name is Lysimachus, came here and reconstructed the city in the 3rd century BC. In the 2nd century BC, the city was invaded by the Roman people. Then came the Christianity with the arrival of the Pope, and we have the Byzantine period. Okay, we know that up until almost 6th century AD, there used to be Greek colonies in Greece, but when the area was stayed far away from the sea, they simply abandoned it. And when the Turkish people arrived here, they founded the modern city of Kuşadası near the sea, not in this place, which was a huge privilege for Ephesus. Okay, the other cities that we've been, they didn't have this chance. They usually put the modern city on top of the ancient one. So thank God the city stayed a little bit far away from the sea. So the Turkish people entirely ignored this area. That is why Ephesus today is such a visual place, because they found almost everything from the ancient city. Okay, excavations started here at the end of 19th century in 1850s, more or less. German archaeologists came here in order to excavate. Excavations still continue. They found many parts of the city and they reconstructed them. Okay, so that's what you will see during your visit. With an order, first you will visit this tiny theater. Its name is Odeon. This is not the original theater of Ephesus. It's a lot bigger, the original theater. This is a small theater for the meetings. Okay, the governor of the city, representatives of the city used to come here 5 times a week, sometimes 4 times a week, in order to make a reunion. Sometimes they also use the small theater for private music concerts. That's all. Okay. After this Odeon, we will continue from a street and we will arrive into a square that is called the Trajan Square, which was dedicated to the Emperor Trajan. Then afterwards, we will pass from another street and come to the private part of the Ephesus, where we have the most famous buildings like Hadrian's Temple, the theater, and many others. Okay, so when you need to take pictures, please do so. We will not come back here.